Hello, everybody. We're back at Catching Up with Coach JT Burks. We're here with Tracy Wells Huggins. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Tracy?
Wow, who is Tracy? Who isn't Tracy? To start off with, giving honor to my mother, I am Tracy Wells Huggins, the daughter of Bobby, aka Barbara Wells Jordan, who was the daughter of Laura Jane Harmon, who was a Jones. I'm the wife of Jason. I'm the mother of Haley, Ebony, Will, and Kai. I'm the stepmother of Saudia and Little J, and I'm the grandmother of Tristan and a little guy called C4 because he's dynamite.
Cool.
Above all that, I'm a woman who believes in faith, who loves the Lord, and knows that he loves me just by virtue of the fact that he's allowed me to overcome so many things in life and to still be here. So I'm great. I'm a grateful woman. That's who I am.
Awesome. Good stuff. Appreciate you, sis. Let's get into talking about fitting the profile, the problem that we deal with as blacks, minorities, racial profiling and prejudice and racism that we have to deal with. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So a number of years ago, there was an article that came out from a guy in New York named Mr. DeLillo, and I use the term Mr. Loosely, where he described young black males and Latinos as super predators.
Wow.
And stated that in this article that went across the nation, that there was really pretty much nothing good that would come from the aberrant ways that our young people were being raised, that they were being raised without morals and values, and that all they could expect, all the world could expect from these super predators is nothing but madness and mayhem. That's in a nutshell what this article reads. And so when we talk about racial profiling, we have to understand that there is an implicit bias that is attributed to those of us who have melanin in our skin. People look at us and they feel as if they already have us sized up. Yeah. They look at our young black men when they walk down the street, and no matter what, the first thing they see is the color of their skin. And their attributes, negative insight for most of them, that they put on them, by the way they carry themselves. They misinterpret the braggadocio that they see in our young people as a sign of disrespect. And at times it is, but there's so much more to us.
That's
and
right.
Also, people don't take the time to get to understand that there is a whole culture that is inculcated in how we move and carry ourselves. Why would so many people want to be like us?
That's right.
Inherently beautiful about us, but people misunderstand that. And so in terms of prejudice and racial profiling, we have to be careful, because we need to teach our young people to understand that when certain people see you, they already have their minds made up about you.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like that. And it's one thing, like I try to tell people, is I know it's a hard way to live, but fitting the profile, one thing to me is like, if my actions is going to affect Tracy, whether you want it to or not. And that's one thing that I think is hard for us to kind of face the facts on. It's like we don't get that if I be aggressive towards authority, even though the other man, black man or Latino man, may be innocent, they still put us in the same box. So how do we overcome that? Like just that constant pressure of feeling as though we got to kind of tread the line all the time?
It's interesting you asked me this. I had a conversation with a man, and he said, I think that it's kind of difficult to ask people to constantly live whereby they're considering how they're going to be perceived by other people. And I said to him, how can we not?
Yeah.
Exactly by what you're saying. We have to teach our young people that it's important to understand that for every action, there's a ripple effect. And we have to be mindful of how we are showing up, because there is pretty much no respect for Black life.
That's right.
A lot of people like to go to, well, the all lives matter, but we've seen how not all lives are mattering. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again. It would be nice to believe that people don't see color, but they do. It would be nice to think that we lived in a world whereby all lives truly matter, but We have reports week after week and month after month of people who are being shot down in their homes, women in their beds, men who are jogging. And the very first thing people do, because they want to make sure they fit the profile, is what? Dig up dirt.
That's right.
Try to throw dirt on that person, on their life, on their name. Let's look at politics. We live in a political realm right now where I pretty much was informed on yesterday. Rest assured, everything you've ever done, bad, ugly, or indifferent, is going to come out because you're running for a political office. And I said, what has that got to do with the issues at hand?
Exactly.
I will tell you from the gate, I am like everybody else in my community who has been down the block and has been doing some things, and I've even gone to jail the longest 10.5 hours of my life. I'm not ashamed of that. You know, I've had to come back from bad credit. Thank God for teaching us how to use wisdom and to grow. When you know better, you do better. All of these things. Find out what you will. It's not about what you think. And it's not about digging up the dirt on somebody's life. We're always going to fit the profile for something.
That's right.
Know that we need to make sure that when we show up, that we show up in our greatest glory, with our heads held high, no matter what has happened in the past. And
That's right.
if our young people and if we as adults have made mistakes, if we could own them and move forward, that's all that we can do. That's the best that we can do. And that is leading by example. And we could do that in our homes. Oftentimes, though, I find, JT, we villainize the very people who need us to lift them up. And the parents of our kids, because a lot of people are in different struggles right now.
That's right.
They've been in struggles for a long time. They know what you're thinking about them before you open your mouth. And that comes from us as well as the outside. So we all have an obligation to do better by one another, from our homes to our jobs, to our churches, our community as a whole. We have got to live, love every day in every way in our hood.
Wow. I like that. I appreciate that. You know, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand too. It's like you can't really manipulate people, especially people who come from rough situations. You know, they know when you BSing them, and
Right.
I think something that a lot of people don't get and don't know how to interpret. You know, you think you may come with a good idea, but people kind of can sense, this is not coming from a genuine place. You know, and even though it may be a great idea, it's going to fall flat because people don't really like to be used as pawns per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then on to every great idea, every good idea isn't a great idea.
That's right.
It might not be a God idea.
Exactly.
Really be thinking about what it is that you're trying to do, you know. I think community education is a big thing, but I think that we also have to make sure that we are leading by example. In its purest form, that's what we need to do, and that's what our culture has gotten away from. Or we know how to play the parts, but many times we haven't gotten down to what's really important because we've gotten comfortable with superficial.
That's right. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so with the next question is, you know, how can we save our young girls from the pressure of being objectified, you know, feeling as though they got to fit a certain criteria to be accepted, and, you know, that beauty only looks one way from them, you know, the way they present themselves in videos or just in general.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to teach them, first of all, that they have to love themselves as they are. And they need to see the women in their lives loving themselves and holding themselves to a higher standard. It is really important for us to have them understand that what social media says is beauty is not necessarily beauty.
That's right.
That they are so much more, that there is so much attributed to the physical that sometimes they forget about the fact that they have a brain that they need to really focus on and really feed that. And if they're not forgetting the fact that they have this amazing brain, this amazing piece of the body, that they dumb it down for acceptance. And
That's
so
right.
we need to get our young ladies to understand that there's no need for you to dumb it down, that you should always walk in your full queendom because you are the mother of the next generation.
That's
and
right.
A lot of young ladies, they are hungry to hear that and to know that it's okay. And to know that, you know, it's not just about what you wear. We have gotten so caught up in fashion and fashion sense and spending money. But I think there's something to be grateful for in this time of COVID, because it has caused us to almost come to a screeching halt because resources were significantly limited and the world was pretty much shut down. And during this time, people have been able to take a step back. I was speaking with someone today and they said, wow, stores are opening and people are extra, extra happy about that. And we began to talk about, you know, we are so much more than consumers.
That's right.
But we don't teach that. We don't model that. And I don't think a lot of adults know that. So in order for our daughters to not walk into that whole objectification, we've got to make sure that they have that understanding. You're so much more than your hips and thighs. You
That's
have a mind. You have a brain. You have gifts, callings, and talents. Walk in those. It's okay to be smart. It is okay to walk in with your head held high and know that no matter what anybody can say, that they can't do anything to you because you know what you know. And we've gotten away from teaching our daughters that and telling them it's more important to be pretty and to be fly and to make sure that they have $300 and $400 on their head, but nothing inside of the head. That it's more important for them to take a picture with their bodies all exposed. Look at social media. Look at the TV shows that are targeted for our families, our demographic, our kids. Everything, glitz, glam, fights, drinks, and nothing is positive.
That's right.
So we need to get them to understand that that's not real. What's real is what you have right here. And you can change your reality by changing the way you think.
That's the truth. I like that. I appreciate that because that's something that they definitely need to know, and to know that it's all right to be respected from the opposite sex in just a uplifting way. Yes. You know, everything is not all common courtesy should be something, especially I feel from a female, should be appreciated and accepted, not always taken out of context. Like if somebody hold the door for you, that should be appreciated, not that, oh, he held the door for me, he wants to, you know, take this further. You know, gotta get used to accepting common courtesy and a gentleness that, you know, sometimes we men want to offer. And I just think a lot of them don't even know how to accept that without thinking that guy wants to make an advance or flirtatious type connotation to it. So
you have to understand, if they've not seen that modeled, then, you know, we have a lot of grown women who need to understand that too, because the daughters are watching. Just as the young males are watching the fathers open the doors, the daughters are watching. How is mom responding to that? Or does she think he's corny because he's a nice guy? Does she prefer the bad boy? You know, it's just so many different dynamics. And it's all because, for the most part, our people have been hurting for such a long time. And we've adapted, we've done maladaptation into things that are really not positive and good, and they've become our norm. But there's always opportunity for change. And I think that there's an inner resolve in all of us to be that greater and to forge for that. You just have to know that it's okay. And a lot of times people aren't told that, they're afraid to accept that I can actually be different. Somebody may ostracize me. Somebody may say, oh, I'm not this or that. You can't worry about what people think. You have to worry about what is going on with you. You have to teach your young people that it's okay to be different.
That's right. Exactly. And you said, you know, you had some trouble in the past.
Yeah.
How do you keep people from getting stuck in that trouble? Because I've been through my little pitfalls too. And like, I think some people, they don't know how to navigate through it. So they just stay stuck. I already messed up, so I might as well just continue in it. How did you overcome?
I think the biggest thing was just always knowing that I wanted to do more and I wanted to be more. And I didn't want to be stuck in a situation whereby my children wouldn't have a better example to follow. I knew that there was something different about me, and I wanted to make sure that I walked into that. And sometimes that means you have to step away from people, places, and things.
Wow.
Sometimes that means you have to be willing to be uncomfortable in a meantime sort of space. You know, immediate gratification is one of the biggest problems that we have by culture. We
Yeah.
want everything and we want it now. And we feel like we're entitled to it. And I get it. But the reality is, if you have to put in the work in order to get where you want to be, you have to be consistent. You have to be firm and you have to be fair with yourself. You have to be willing to forgive yourself. JT, I can't tell you, and everybody who's listening or watching, you have to know everybody makes mistakes. I don't care who they are.
Yep.
But you are not the sum total of those mistakes.
Wow.
They are part of your testimony. And if you learn from those mistakes, connect with people who are doing the things that you want to do or going the places you want to go. Watch them, model them, see how they move, and then just make a plan. Write it down. Get your faith intact and follow the path, and just tell yourself, not succeeding is not an option. It sounds corny. People say it all the time, but I knew that I was onto something when I went to my oldest daughter's 8th grade graduation, actually her 8th grade honors ceremony. She was giving her speech, and she stopped in the middle of her speech and she said, I'm grateful for my mother for teaching me that not succeeding is not an option. If she's never heard anything else that I said, I was like, she heard. And I'm watching the tenacity of my children in different endeavors as they go through. They're adults now, they're going through their things that they go through, but to see them all consistently maintain the course and come out on the other side, for me, that's the absolute greatest feeling. So for anybody who feels like they're stuck, because we all have been somewhere and done something or have something, you can come out of it. It's a matter of stopping, taking a moment, taking a breath, saying, okay, that was that. What can I do next? And then do that next. And if you meet a roadblock, because you will, okay, let me connect with somebody who can help me get through this. Let me just continue to stay focused. You never stop trying. You never stop trying, because when you stop trying, that's when you're defeated.
Wow. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Now with the next question, let's get into talking about culture. Do you think the Black community lack culture, and that leads to a lot of the problems that we have with unity and identity?
I don't think it's that we lack culture. I think we lack consciousness. We lack the understanding of who we truly are. We lack the ability to see beyond superficial things, to know innately that we are so great. And a lot of cases, nobody's ever told you how great you are, just by virtue of being birthed. Society has taught us to hate ourselves. Public Enemy, one of the things that I think helped me to really just like have a mind-blowing experience many, many years ago. I think it was Brother Khalid in the beginning of Night of the Living Baseheads. He said, they robbed us of our religion, our culture, our God. And some of us, by the way we act, we even lost our minds.
Wow.
And you hear that in the beginning of a rap song, and then they hit you with all this bass, and you're just like, wow, but the seed has been planted. You have been robbed of knowing who you are. That is powerful. Yeah. And if we could just get our people to catch that, you have been robbed. Well, what did they rob me of? They robbed me of knowing who I am. They robbed me of my dignity. They robbed me of thinking about my humanity in relation to everybody else's. I have been robbed, but I can do better.
That's right.
I can learn and I can teach. And I think that that's the root of what our culture needs. Somebody to tell them it's okay. You may have gotten a bum deal, but guess what? Recognize that you're more than that. And that is when the consciousness begins. We don't lack culture because we set the tone for everything.
That's
everybody,
right.
From women getting injection in their lips, hips, thighs, and buttocks to look like us.
Yeah.
To people using steroids so that they can be as strong as our brothers.
Yeah.
To everything, to our grandmothers teaching us things from nature that are now coming back into the foray when it comes to health and well-being. From grandma, great-grandma telling you, lay down somewhere, take a nap.
Yep.
And you're not even realizing that's giving your body a chance to get what it needs. And now we're going back to all these things, natural, holistic, well-being, that is good for the spirit, soul, and the mind.
Yes.
And the body. So we don't lack culture. We are the culture. There
That's
is
right.
no culture without us.
That's right.
We are the definers of it. And another thing too, I don't think that people understand. There is nothing wrong with having pride in what you are.
That's right.
Being proud to be Black and brown does not mean that I hate anything else or anybody else. It just means that for a moment in time, you are facing somebody who has said, you know what, I've decided to love me too.
That's right.
I've decided not to live in a hate for the people and the skin that I'm in. And a lot of us haven't done that. So yeah, we define the culture and we need to remember that. And we need to be bold in that. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. If every brother that was out here on the streets doing wrong would channel that energy into a business,
Yeah.
all of them would be multimillionaires.
Sure will.
Every time somebody got angry with somebody and they decided that they were going to snuff out a life, they thought of that person as their brother and they stopped for a moment and they put that gun down and decided, you know what, we can get money together in a good way. Fortune
That's
500
right.
companies are just waiting to be birthed in
That's
our
right.
men, in our brothers. If our sisters, all these hair salons, if they started buying the hair to sell the hair, we wouldn't have to go anywhere else.
That's
If
right.
we just learn to come together and not compete.
Yeah.
We were taught that we needed to compete.
Yep.
And so we need to break that cycle. It's not that we lack culture, it's that we lack consciousness. But we have a great opportunity to gain it all back.
We sure do. I like that. That's good stuff. You know, and how do we not get stuck per se in the mindset of, like, you know, we become conscious and then we start barking out things that we feel as though can help but never get to action? Because I think that's something that happens too. Like, I think we get stuck on discussing the problems and the issues that we have, that we never say, okay, we know what we're facing, let's get to work. So how do we overcome that?
Yeah, you have to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You have to write the vision and make it plain.
That's right.
You have to say, okay, do a strategy meeting. I love big giant stickies. You know, when I came, I like my big whiteboard or whatever. I'm very visual. So, I mean, get your minds together with the people that you're brainstorming with. What do you want the community to look like? Man, I would love to see A, B, and C. Okay, if we want A, B, and C, write down, what are the barriers to us getting this? And then what are the ways that we can get over those barriers? Okay, and then let's have a timeline. By this time, we want to take care of A. By this time, we want to take care of B. And this is how we're going to do it. And then delegate. It can't be left out. You have to be very strategic. I need you, my brother, to handle this and get back to me when this is done so that we can go on to this. Because you have to have a plan. It's not enough to just talk. We've had so many people talking about so much good stuff for such a long period of time.
Exactly.
Promises are made and promises are broken. They have been all the time. We can't continue to work like that, or we're just going to continue to stay in the same cycle we've always been, of the promise being made and the promise being unkept, and another promise being made and another promise being unkept. No, you need action. It's okay to have a dream, but your dream needs a plan, and there has to be action in order to get it all done. And I think that's what we've been missing. I mean, it's good that we have the conversation. I love that we are now having more and more conversations, but we got to move from conversation into action.
That's right.
But in between action and conversation is strategic planning. That's the key.
That's right. Yeah, that because that's one of the things where I've been kind of frustrated with lately with community work. Like, just back to what you said about the whole field of competition, you know, and people not understanding the importance of delegation, you know, so it gets to the point where I wouldn't say offensive, but it's like if I called you and you told me, okay, well, listen, JT, I have a PhD, right? So now if I call you for assistance, I should respect that. You know what I mean? I shouldn't call you for assistance and then it's like I have you there, but now I'm gonna have somebody as powerful as you just playing the sideline. You're gonna be like, hold on now, you know, I got, not that you wanna put it out there that you have a PhD or in a prideful way, but it's like, okay, if you call me in, give me a specific job that you need me to do, like you said. And I think that's something that goes unchecked sometimes. It's like they bring you in and it's like people kind of make you feel irrelevant for the work that you've done, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a thing that gets me sometimes, you know, and you don't want to just put it out there all the time. Like, hey man, you know, I kind of accomplished this, or I did this and I have this set up, or, you know, I'm kind of relevant to the people that I feel as though really, in a sense, matter, you know, and it's not like a battle of popularity, you know, something that we get into a lot. So what you think about that?
I think that you are absolutely right. And, you know, your feelings are legit. But I applaud you for learning what it took me a while to learn. Because when I first came into this community work, I was like a bull in a china shop, you know, really and truly. And you can alienate some folks like that. When you come in there and you're all Brody with it, yada, da, da, da. There's a time and a place for that, because I'm all about that too. Yeah. However, you have to learn that there is strategy that is needed on everything. And it's not that you're playing a game, but you have to understand. There was a movie, The Miseducation of Sonny Carson, and the coach said, you people, talking about black folks, you people know how to play the game, but you don't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
And I say that to say there is a strategy that we need to employ. When we are invited to tables and we know that they're tokenizing us by not letting us be relevant, like you said, because that happens a lot, my brother. You can call it out in a way that says, you know, you don't have to do it loudly, because you don't have to be the loudest one in the room to be the most powerful.
Exactly.
You can go to the person or persons and say, you know, I really want to be a part of this. However, this is how I felt when this happened. And in the future, if we're really going to do this collectively, this is what I'd like to see. And if it happens again, then you come back and you say, you know what, this is what I need to see.
That's right. And
then if it happens a third time, you might want to come back and be like, I'm gonna need for this to happen.
Exactly.
You know, there are levels to this. And it's challenging, and people don't like that, because the first thing you'll get is, who do you think you are? We allowed you to sit here. We allowed you to come to our table. No, this is everyone's table.
That's right.
You have the heart of the community. People trust you.
Yeah.
It's not the people at the table that they trust.
That's right.
They trust you, and you know why? Because you're there. They trust me. Why? Because I'm there. We're on the front lines. We're in the thick of it. We're not judging. We're doing what needs to be done. We're doing what God has called us to do, serving our people.
Exactly.
And we need to be respected for that. But if they don't ever respect us, we know who is. But I will tell you this. I've learned time and time again, and I know you will too, because you've already learned it, that where God gives vision, he also gives provision.
That's right.
You're not going to have to beg, borrow, steal from anybody for your vision to come true.
That's right. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So with the last question, how do you think we can unify more and fix our communities, like in a holistic way?
One of the things that I'm offering, which I think is really good, is healing circles. I think that we need emotional emancipation.
Oh yeah, truly.
We've got a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Our brothers need it, and we want them to be able to come to these spaces and just be able to be real, to get healed.
That's right.
And there is a science behind it. We know it. It's not just some arbitrary flim flam. It's like, yo, let's get real. In order for our communities to be whole, we as individuals need to be whole. And that means we have to do our work. We need it for our men. We need it for our women. We need it for our girls and our boys. And once we start there on a personal basis and starting in our homes and then spilling out, that's when we can begin to really begin to see improvements in our community overall. You know, there's so much work to be done, but we have to be willing to do it.
That's right.
You know, it may not be cool, and that's fine. It's okay not to always be cool.
That's right.
Sometimes you just got to do the work so that you can heal. And I think when we heal, we'll stop hurting each other.
Exactly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what I think it is, you know. And I'm glad that you said that about the trauma. And, you know, and that's one thing that I tell people. I think so many kids and or just people in general, they just suffer with that uh, the trauma, you know, is depression and anger and anxiety and frustration, you
Yeah.
know, of feeling stuck and feeling left out. And I feel as though that goes unchecked so often, you know. And I see it even in coaching, you know, where I can tell an individual is upset, you know, from just the way I grew up. And you just get used to identify certain things, especially when it falls in your range of, in a sense, expertise. I was that young man once. So I
Right.
know what he's going through. I know he putting on a smile right now, but he really want to punch through the wall, you know? And
Yes.
it's hard to connect with people because I think people have those walls up where they do think you're trying to judge, or they do feel as though you're kind of like imposing on their private life.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured that part out yet, how we can kind of build more trust with people to understand that you're just trying to be a advocate and a voice for them and someone that's there to help without
Mhm.
him. But it's kind of hard to, you know, get the trust of people.
Consistency is helpful. Um, and if people see that you're the same yesterday and today and forever, that they will respect that. But you have to understand something too. We are really resilient. As
Hmm.
people, we are incredibly resilient. So we can go through the fire and get up the next day and keep it moving like nothing ever happened.
That's right.
Um, and the ability to do that is because we have what are called conditioned tendencies.
Hmm.
These are the things that we've developed as those walls over time to protect us so that we can keep going.
That's
Because
right.
what's the alternative? Some people's conditioned tendency is to resort to drowning in alcohol. Some people like to smoke and get high. Some people just have that wall up where you're not going to get too close to me because I'm not going to let you hurt me.
That's right.
You know, and those are the things that we unpack in our emotional emancipation circles, because you have to be able to identify what's going on in my body right now. My shoulders are extra tight, my jaw is tight, my head is pounding, and you have to be able to say, okay, something's going on with me. I'm
Hmm.
sensing that. What is my body telling me? And you have to remind yourself, okay, this is not that. That's what I used to do. I'm going to breathe and take a step back so that I can maneuver through. Those little things like that are the beginning of your healing process. And they will change your life. And that's what we need. And, you know, that and mental health support and not being ashamed to access that,
Yeah.
because there's no harm, no foul in that. You know, we need it. And there are some really good people out here doing excellent work. So it's like, you know, just being willing and open to the healing that you need from your own personal traumas will go so much further in helping to heal your home and your community.
Awesome stuff. Powerful stuff. Appreciate you, sis.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything you are doing.
Yeah, you know, hopefully we can continue to work together and continue to change things.
Amen. We got this.
Yep. So hit me up anytime. You know I'm there.
I got you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored because you had some heavy hitters. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say.
It was great. Thanks.
Thank you so much, JT. Take
Thanks
care.
for coming on. We're catching up with Coach, just trying to see how we can fix our communities.
We're going to keep it going.
That's right. All right. Be encouraged.
Please. Thank you.
See ya.